Coming up tonight on Find the Fairway, favorites at the Zurich Classic. Here's the three, but why you shouldn't pick any of these. Stay far away from the Xander Schauffele's and the Patrick Cantlays of the group. We'll tell you why, which actually is the best bet. The PGA Championship is about 3 weeks away at Oak Hill. Three major champions and three major favorites, but are these odds actually legit? Is Rory McIlroy still a star on the PGA Tour? Well, we have another star come PGA Championship time. So glad to have you with us here on Find the Fairway. I'm Chris Breeze. This week, superstar Dubbs Anderson is with us. You're the man who makes all the picks. I'm so glad to have you on Find the Fairway.
See, Breezy, what is good, my man? Getting to catch up, chop it up, talk a little PGA Tour, the gift that keeps on giving from the betting side. Another week, another opportunity to make a couple of dollars and cash those tickets. You know I'm excited.
I made the assumption that your name was Dubbs, but I realized it wasn't Dubbs until you gave me your email address. You're Andrew. How the heck did Dubbs come about?
Well, I tried to file for Mr. W. Money Anderson. They wouldn't allow that one. But no, Andrew Anderson, double A, they're the initials. So I got Dubsy, Mr. Dubsy on the come up. And us Aussies, mate, we're always so informal. Everyone goes by their nickname. So Dubs, Dubsy, it's always stuck with me. And it's only Andrew when the bookies are coming to collect. Hey, it's Tuesday. We need to square up, Andrew. Where's that cash? I'm saying, no. It's Dubsy. It's Dubsy time. So when we're winning tickets, it's Dubsy. When I'm in the bad books, maybe with the misses, the bookies, it's Andrew.
Never going to happen. You know that. You're a man of your word. We love that. Let's get right into it here on Find the Fairway. What I want to do first is go through your process of how you pick PGA Tour winners. Start with this. Do you kind of use the same general theme on any sport, or is every sport different, in particular golf?
No, I think it's very similar across all
Really?
sports. You know, we look at the form coming into a big game, into a big tournament. We look at the same things on the tour as we would for a basketball team getting ready for game one or a regular season matchup. You know, how have they been doing coming into this one, the last 4 or 5 weeks? So with the golf betting, I look at how they've been performing the last 4 or 5 tournaments on the PGA Tour. Are they contending? Are they hitting a lot of greens? That tells me the ball striking's there. Maybe they're not making a lot of putts, and that's still upside. That's what we're looking for because that's going to present us the opportunities in those bigger numbers. So that's the form we look at. I look at course history. You know, we hear the term thrown out all the time, horses for courses. And something that does make the PGA Tour and these golfers unique is they can go 6 months, 12 months without playing fantastic golf, but they show back up to a golf course that they like, or like Matty Fitzpatrick, a place where he's got really good vibes last weekend. I mean, they're at Hilton Head. He's been going as a young fella with the family on holidays, on trips. And if it just fits their eye, fits their golf game really well, you've got to factor that into the equation. And then I'm always looking at past winners. What did they do well the week of? What can we apply to the metrics? Because we got all this strokes gain data. You apply it to the field coming into this week. And by process of elimination, with some of these key criteria, we get rid of a lot of names, and there's a few that start trending to the top of our selections. And if we get a good number, happy days.
You make an excellent point when you talk about course history and sticking with it, because it's very easy to have that mold of gambling every week. And you know how gambling works. You're not going to hit most of the time. And so people, it's easy to say, oh, well, I'm going to get rid of my stats and get rid of the way that I analyze this stuff and do something new. Tell everybody why it's not smart to do that and to stick to your guns with this list you have here.
Yeah, look, you've got to stick to your strategy with your selections and also with your bankroll. Don't fall in love with a tournament, a player, a twosome, maybe this week for the Zurich Classic, because it is betting. There's a lot of chance. There's a lot of variables. I mean, week in, week out on the PGA Tour, we've got 150 horses lining up for the race. Anything can happen. I mean, you can have a bad hot dog Thursday morning. You go out there and shoot 76, and then suddenly you're not playing the weekend, and that was one of your favorites. So stick to your strategy. And I tell bettors all the time who love playing the PGA Tour with their golf picks, don't measure it by outright wins, week in, week out. Look at your players. Are they finishing top 20s, top 30s? Because that tells us that something is working. And at the end of the day, the same thing that it takes these golfers to get the win on Sunday afternoon, where they have to have a peak week. They need a lot of, good fortune to go in their favor. It's the same for us on the betting side. So don't be disheartened if you keep back in top 10s, top 20s. Stick to your strategy and stick to your bankroll as well. It's going to keep you in the game a lot longer.
And the reason why I want to do this with you today is because let's say you're a novice gambler and you just want to get into it. You're not sure who to pick, et cetera, et cetera. I feel like course history, recent form are the obvious ones. And then you get into the whole shots gained and how they've done the previous week's shots gained, previous years in this event shots gained. That's the gray area. I feel like a lot of gambling people who so-called professionals call themselves professionals at this. That's a gray area. How do you navigate that shots gained? Because there's literally 15 different categories of shots gained.
Yeah, so I mean the big ones, and I guess that's double-edged sword there. This
Mhm.
sport of professional golf, the PGA Tour do a really good job of sharing a lot of this data with the fans, with the bettors, and you can sort of help yourself on that side of things. There's a bunch of great resources out there if you want to take it seriously. But we look at the strokes gained data, and there's some big categories that really stand out, which can help us. We're always looking at strokes gained tee to green. Who's getting well off the tee? Who excels in strokes gained on approach? The best names, the biggest names in the world, what do they do well? They're fantastic drivers of the golf ball. You look at strokes gained off the tee, it's going to be all the heavy hitters in the top 5, top 10. You then look at strokes gained on approach. They're your better iron players. There's no surprise. It's your Colin Morikawas, your Willie Z's before they got injured. They're always going to thrive. And then we look at some other metrics like strokes gained around the greens. If we play a golf course where maybe it's an old school track, one that we have been visiting on the tour for 30, 40 years, and you've got your smaller greens, it's a longer par 71. Well, I'm thinking, okay, smaller greens, and they've got mid to long iron in hand. They're going to miss more greens this week. What do you need to stay in the hunt? You need a good short game. So week by week, that's maybe a metric where I put more weight on having a good short game, depending on the golf course. And then you look at strokes gained putting, but the biggest variance that we see for all professional golfers is on the greens, strokes gained putting. So if they're sitting outside the top one, top 50, top 100, I wouldn't really use that as a bit of a knock. The big ones I'm always looking at: strokes gained off the tee and then strokes gained on approach. And of course, we can dig a little deeper into that. If it's a golf course where we know it's all about keeping it in play, then we look at driving accuracy. Where maybe it's a resort style course. We go to Las Vegas and it's a bomb and gouge birdie shootout. We know the winning score is going to be 23, 24 under par. Where keeping it in play, that doesn't really matter, but you need distance. You want to go after these par fives, so we put a bit more weight on that criteria. Driving distance more so than strokes get off the tee, and maybe driving accuracy is not that essential the week of. So week in, week out, all these different golf courses, different skill sets, and to figure it out the quickest, we go back and look at the recent winners. What did they do really well the week of? What stats were they in the top 10, the top 5 for that golf tournament? And usually the winners of a PGA Tour event, they're sitting, they're living inside the top 15, top 10 of most of these strokes gained categories the week they win that tournament.
And you're going to have the random flukes happen more than not. The guy who's
Yeah.
110th in putting and then all of a sudden has the putting weekend of his life. And that's just the way gambling goes. The last one on here is very interesting: situational awareness. New caddy, different storylines. What kind of field is it? What kind of motivation does this guy have? Because I feel like that's the kind of stuff that if you really, really want to bank on that, it can work out for you, but it can be a massive failure as well. I look at kind of like Rory McIlroy at the Masters and how it just feels like he has this demon about Augusta. He cannot and will not get out of his head, and his odds to win are so not worth it that it makes you say, okay, I'm not betting Rory. He's plus 900. No way am I going to bet Rory. That happens every week, Dubs. There's something, a story of every guy every week where you have that. What do you think about that? The situational awareness of storylines and guys that specific week.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one to really say, what is it exactly? But I think the point you make there with, Roy McIlroy, a lot of bettors look into it and say, well, Roy McIlroy, he's chasing, the career slam at Augusta. He's got the distance. He's a fantastic driver of the golf ball. This is the time. He's the spokesperson for the PGA Tour going against Liv. How good is this? But I look back at Roy McIlroy and the trends that we've seen of him putting himself in these big spots, and he's not comfortable being that guy going into the tournament with that expectation when he's talking off the golf course about what the PGA Tour is doing and about him and Tiger. Rory has been fantastic the last 12 months when this live thing came up, and it was a nice little distraction because people forget 18 months ago, Rory couldn't get out of his own way on the golf course. He's busy
Oh, yeah.
playing golf swing, and it's the most beautiful natural move where you don't have to be thinking about it. So once it kicked into gear, he's not thinking so much out in the golf course. He's got this saga, on the sidelines. He played fantastic golf, but then coming into Augusta, he's the guy. We need him to do well for the PGA Tour. He knew it. He put that expectation on himself. Nothing wrong with the golf swing. For Roy McIlroy, I think sometimes it gets a little too much up top between the ears, and that's the situational awareness that us as golf bettors we're looking to clue into. The same as first-time winners when they're getting ready for their breakthrough. Same time, when we get a wacky week like the Zurich Classic this week, when maybe there's not a lot of motivation, but you look for those grinders, those dogs who don't, lack bringing intensity, and that's the kind of awareness we need to bring to our handicapping.
Okay, Dubs, let's get these viewers some money, shall we? This week on the PGA Tour is very different. It's the Zurich Classic at TPC Louisiana in New Orleans, and here's what's fascinating about it. Lately, the trends have been you got to pick a favorite because they're going to be a winner. The last 3 times, really, you look at that, all of these have been big-time favorites. But then you go back to the previous 2 years, Horschel and Percy and Blixton, Smith, plus 10,000 for those guys to win in 2017. So it makes you wonder, are you going to pick a big name to be a winner this week, or are you going to go old school and say, you know what, I want to crunch those numbers. I want to look at those stats that you just mentioned and maybe give myself a little bit more value.
Mate, this is the week where we need to look at this situational awareness, because this is
Okay.
not a normal tournament. The team format where we see in President's Cups, we see in Ryder Cups, we only see it once a year on the PGA Tour. And we saw last year, Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele, they figured it out. They went absolute beast mode. And I look at all these pairings, and there's a bit of a mixed bag. We get Leishman and Smith, they're best friends off the golf course. Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay, best friends off the golf course. Would I have liked to have partied with them in New Orleans? Probably not. They probably didn't even go out to celebrate. But then you see these other guys like a Billy Horschel, who's won twice on this golf course, where he never needs an excuse to bring the intensity. He's like a Jordan Spieth. He's going to beat you in a game of marbles. He's going to beat you from the car to the clubhouse. He just knows how to show up with his best stuff. But I think this is a week, given that you've got the best ball on Thursday and Saturday, which is the lowest score between the two of us. That's easy for all these professional golfers. But where they're going to make that bread is on Friday and Sunday. They play the alternate shot, the foursomes, which is really uncomfortable to play for amateurs, for professional golfers. I've caddied in events like this because these pro golfers, they're individuals. They travel around, all year by themselves with their caddies, and now suddenly you put them in a team format with someone who, if it's like Cantlay and Schauffele, they're comfortable off the golf course. I think that's massive this week because you're not worried about where you're going to put them. But for some of these randos who are partnering up, we've seen it with John Rahm and Ryan Palmer in the past. You're now starting to worry about which golf ball we playing. I like to hit a Pro V. You like to play a tailor-made. I'm good with the driver. You're good with your iron play. Who's taking the par threes? And a lot of people will say, well, let's go with a complementary skill set. A big bomber with a good short game. It's not an Ambrose. It's not a scramble, if you will. I want players with the same kind of skill set who are going to put themselves in similar situations. I don't want to a long hitter and a short hitter. I'd rather see 2 bombers pair up or 2 small ball warriors because they're used to seeing certain looks out there on the golf course. And I think that's one thing we bring into this week. You've got to keep it in play. Set your partner up for success. But it's a wacky format. I can't go back to the well with Xander Schauffele and Paddy Cantlay, not with so many unknowns in this style of format. You can get off to a rough start, and at that shorter number this week, untouchable for me, Chris.
You're picking no favorites. In fact, here are your picks to win the Zurich Classic this week. It's not Homa and Morikawa either. It's none of those big guys. Tell me your thought process on these 3 winners, because it clearly looks like you're spreading this out pretty evenly, because Joel Damon and Denny McCarthy, very sneaky, especially for that number at plus 4,600. And then the Kims, Tom Kim and Siwoo Kim, they feel like they should be a favorite, but plus 1,700. I kind of see what you did there.
Yeah, I think that's the best value on the board. And look, who can topple Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay? Siwoo Kim and Tom Kim. They already did it at the President's Cup. And these are 2 guys who are mates off the golf course. A lot of people don't realize, but When we go around on the tour, a lot of the countrymen stick together. The Aussies love traveling together. The South Koreans, it's us against them. And this is the mateship off the golf course that brings comfortability onto it. And you need that in this format. So I see Siwoo Kim as being a bit of a big brother to Tommy Kim. You know, he's nurtured him since he come on the tour. And Siwoo's having a fantastic season. That win over at the Sony in Hawaii, we always see a bit of wind coming here to TPC Louisiana. And for Tommy Kim, I mean, already a two-time winner, only 20 years of age. You look at the skill sets that both possess. Siwoo Kim, we've always known as this erratic golfer. You know, can make birdies in bunches, but can also throw in a double bogey, a triple bogey at the worst of times. But he's now 32nd in strokes gained on approach, and he's 19th in driving accuracy. You give a sharpshooter like Tommy Kim a couple of nice looks in that alternate shot on Friday and Sunday. I haven't been there, right in the conversation. Speaking about keeping it in play, Tommy Kim as well, second in driving accuracy on the PGA Tour. I don't care about bombing it down there. Don't be putting your partner in bunkers. You're going to score in this format. Tom Kim, Siwoo Kim, very comfortable off the golf course. I think they're going to thrive this week at a very healthy number there at 17 to 1.
You're banking on Kim's triple bogeys being in best ball, so who cares, right? I know what you
Exactly.
I know what you did here with the Horschel and Burns going after your thoughts on how you make your picks. You're going Burns recent history because he's been turning it on lately, and you're going Horschel course history. You like that combo, huh?
I do. Look, Sam Burns is in that upper echelon of golfers who have gone to that next level, and what remains for them? It's major championships. Sam Burns
Mhm.
is that good. LSU product, so this is a bit of a home game for him. And both golfers have thrived in these wacky events where maybe not all the golfers show up with motivation. You know, we've seen it for both of them at the WGC Dell Match Play. For Billy Horschel, you know, you've never got a question if he's going to get up for it. He's had the two wins on this golf course previously. He's won it both as an individual and in the teams format. You put him with a guy like Sam Burns, who he's understated, but lets his golf game do the talking, and he's an absolute beast out there. He bombs it a mile, no real weakness. For Billy Ho, you know, he's not the longest hitter on the tour anymore, but he knows how to keep it in place. So I think well suited to the alternate shot. And for the best ball, get out of the way, let a Sammy Burns go out there and carve it up. 59 was the benchmark we saw last year. Sammy Burns, Billy Horschel, decent number as well.
Marshall's always been good in match play. The WGC, we know that. Did well last year at the President's Cup as well. And Sam Burns is one of those guys who's getting match play team experience as well. Dubs, those are your best bets to win the entire tournament. Now, golf gambling has so much more to it than people think. There's side bets, right? You've got plenty of side bets that you want to look at here. And what you are looking at first round leader wise, you have gone completely off the radar with the guy that 99% of us have never heard of playing with Taylor Pendrith.
Yeah, look, the two Canadian tuxedos pairing up for this one, Taylor Pendrith and Michael Glidgick, one of the young names you'll recognize popping up on the tour. But this is a good point, you know, for the golf bettors or for any sports bettors coming across looking at the PGA Tour, we go after the outright numbers because there's
Mhm.
big numbers to be had. But where we do the most damage is with some of these prop markets, you know, top 20s, top 40s, head-to-head matchups. And this round one low score, to put it simple, is all they have to do is lead after Thursday. Go shoot lights out, and then you can go and do whatever you want over the weekend. And there's no pressure for some of these other names. You know, usually they don't get the marquee matchups. They're not playing in front of all the cameras and the fans, which gives them a chance to go out there and free wield it. I look at a guy like Taylor Pendrith, who I've been waiting on the last couple of seasons to have that breakthrough. He had a bit of an injury. We know the ceiling's there for him. You put him with his countryman in Glidgick, who's also flashed a couple of good signs out there on the tour this season at 65 to 1. Bombs away. It's the best ball format there on Thursday. I think they're well suited. And look, Chris, you and me can go out in the best ball and shoot under par. It's just going to be a putting contest first round to see who can make the most. And I think Pendrith and Glidgick, they're going to have a lot of opportunities.
And you've basically cut your deficit in half, so to speak, with your other first round leader with Davis Riley and Nick Hardy. Max Homa and Colin Morikawa. Tell me why you make this bet. My assumption is that's your money bet. That's the money where you're saying, you know what, I'm putting so much down. I'm likely not going to win most of these bets. I'm banking on winning that bet in order to get my money back. Is that how you're looking at that?
Yeah, very astute there. So I'll look at some of these finishing positions, the heads up, and this is what's going to safeguard us with some of our outright plays to hopefully still make it a profitable week and keep us in the black on Sunday afternoon. I look at Morikawa and Homer. I look at their number in the outright market. I like him to have a big week, but just given the format and there is, a lot of unknowns and we can't really lean on a lot of the individual data coming into this one, I think the top 10 number minus 120 presents a lot more value than that outright spot. You look at Morikawa and Homer. I mean, the two California kids, they've got that synergy going for them. And again, we mentioned Sammy Burns. What's next in line for him? Winning a major. Max Homer is also that good. For Morikawa, you could argue it's been a bit of a slump for him. He's had a lot of success at the majors early in his career, but didn't get a win last season on the tour. He's been playing pretty solid, but I think just letting that one go in Hawaii, the Century Tournament of Champions, that knocked the old confidence a little bit. But, if you look at the strokes gain data and strokes gain on approach is a key metric you've got to have every single week, Morikawa is always going to be at the very top of your list. And both guys, they do it the same way. They don't bomb a golf course to pieces. They keep it in play, no real weakness. Don't expect them to thrive in the best ball, but that alternate shot, they're going to keep themselves in the mix.
I'm looking at your last bet here, and I'm not even going to try to assume what went through your mind with Aaron Baddeley and Harrison Endicott. I'm just going to guess that you feel really good about that, finishing plus or in the top 20 at plus 390 to actually make you your money back, maybe better than Homa and Morikawa.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. I couldn't come on here without dishing out an Aussie play. We saw Cameron Smith and Leishman had success here. And look, a lot of these golfers, they'll throw us little tidbits. Now, I started off as a caddy back in the day, and I could get a lot of this information between the ropes. But Aaron Baddeley tells us at the start of the season, he's been going through some swing change. I'm like, okay, Aaron, I got to see it first. And we're seeing it with the results that he's starting to flash on the PGA Tour. We know how he likes to play it. He likes to play it fast, still one of the best putters in the business, but I've seen enough. You put him with Harrison Endicott, a young golfer also from Australia who's shown us a bit of a ceiling on tour. Where's he played his best golf? In the wind. And we see that with the Aussies. They like moving the ball. They like shot making. And something about this tournament, this golf course, it's really flat. It's wide open. The wind always comes into play over the weekend, and you do need to move the ball. So Bads and Endicott having that countryman, that mateship off the golf course, I think they bring it on there. And as you mentioned, not a lot of people are going to remember Aaron Baddeley, who was once coined to be the next superstar in professional golf. And not a lot of people have clued on to Harrison Endicott, but this is a guy that you can absolutely throw in your DFS lineups. And he's going to start cashing a couple of tickets. So plus 390 to finish in the top quarter of teams by Sunday afternoon. I love it.
There was a reason why I brought you on this show. You are a man who is well thought out in your mind about how to even your bets across the board and not lose a big number. Good for you. And everybody look at this here and see if that'll fit your eye this week for the Zurich Classic. Dubs, of course, people are looking 3 weeks ahead at the next major of the season in 2023. The PGA Championship at Oak Hill, we have no idea what to expect, mainly because they haven't played an event there in 10 years. When Jason Duffner won the 2013 PGA Championship, the Bombers didn't do well there. I think the top 8, I think the biggest bomber was Adam Scott when I looked at the list the other day. And so many storylines, so many rich storylines that people want to talk about. Is Jon Rahm going to continue the dominance? Will Scotty Scheffler start to contend against him? Will Rory McIlroy actually make a cut because he hasn't done it at the Players or the Masters? And then you've got everybody else, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth going for the career Grand Slam. What are you looking at 3 weeks out from the PGA Championship?
I think we're in a great spot. The PGA Tour, I don't recall where we've ever had this much top-tier talent that's
Great
playing
point.
with a lot of form. Jon Rahm, what a season he's having coming off Augusta. How could you say that he's not going to contend? Scotty Scheffler, I mean, we haven't seen anyone with that kind of mental fortitude and looks so relaxed late on Sunday since big Scotty Scheffler. For Roy McIlroy, is it a bounce-back spot? We know once he gets out of his way, he is a dangerous golfer if he can just go out there and play with that house money. But I mean, what we've been talking about, course history. We take a look at what did get it here, what got it done here in the past. And by keeping it in play, the rough's going to be very penal. They'll try and play it a little longer. And I look at guys like Xander Schauffele's, Cantlay's, Morikawa's, who we've been talking about.
You
they
went
keep
there.
It in play.
You went there with
find the
Patrick
short
Cantlay.
stuff. Patty Ice, I went there.
Hey, do you think he's getting too much slack for all this slow play stuff?
I do.
Yeah.
Do I think that he enjoys it? Yeah, and I think he's one of the beasts that you don't want to poke. I was actually surprised that he didn't convert after being in contention there late Sunday. But look, he's very deliberate, but he has got that game built to win at major championships. I mean, this is what you want to see. He's got all the media, all the fans giving him a hard time on social media. He gives it back to him, and nothing changes. I mean, he wasn't setting the course record on Sunday. Far from it. He was still taking 2, 3, 4 minutes trying to punch out
Yeah.
from the wood chip. So Patrick Cantlay is saying, say what you want about me. I know what works for me. I'm built for the big time. Surprisingly, he still hasn't had a couple of contention, been contending late on Sunday afternoons, but all the signs point to me that Patrick Cantlay, his golf game, that demeanor, it's boring to watch, but I think it's built to do well in some of these bigger tournaments. In Oak Hill Country Club, this may be the spot for him.
Is he slower? Yes. Should he speed it up? Yes. But to get the slack he's been getting, I don't agree at all. Hey, Dubsy, before I let you go, I like to play a game with all of my guests. We're talking about the PGA Championship, so I'm going to put you on the spot here and make you tell me which of these four things do you think is most likely to happen at the PGA Championship in the middle of May? Jordan Spieth, that intangible, that storyline that we talked about, does he get that career Grand Slam, or is that his monkey? Is that his Rory McIlroy Masters? Is Brooks Koepka gonna contend? We could spend 30 minutes talking about Brooks. I know you and I could, if that was an anomaly at the Masters, or if this is here to stay. Is he in the top three? Does Rory miss the cut? Mentioned that he missed the cut at the Players and at the Masters, and they weren't even close. It was brutal. Or, you realize that the PGA Championship tends to have the most first time winners on the PGA Tour when it comes to major champions. First time major winner. Of those four, which is going to happen? Most likely, would you bet on?
Ding, 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 ding. I'm going to take option D. I feel like it's Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I think we get a first time major winner. Jordan Spieth, sure, he'll be in the hunt. He'll be there close enough. I just can't see it playing out for him. For big bad Brooksy Koepka, I mean, that kind of finish, that's going to put him and DJ on the fishing trip for the next couple of months. He'll be showing up there with a nice looking tan. But how's the golf game really going to be? I look forward to seeing Brooksy and all these live golfers there contending. That was a big wow for me at Augusta. And then we take a look at Rory missing the cut. That's not going to happen. We're not going to see the bounce 3 times in a row. Rory's going to figure it out, show up motivated, and I expect him to be a factor moving into the weekend. But, one common highlight, I've thrown out a lot of names. The next gear for them is to win a major championship. It's a great opportunity to do so. We mentioned, Cantlay, Xander Schauffele, Sammy Burns, Max Homa. There's just so many good young golfers begging for their time to do it in a major on Sunday. Return to a golf course that we haven't stopped at in recent years. I think it's primed up for a first-time winner at the majors.
You're a man who plays the odds. That's why you do what you do. Hey, before we say goodbye, tell everybody where they can see you. You're on FanDuel, you're on SportsGrid. Where can we watch you?
Yeah, so you can find me on the social media channels at Mr. Dubsy, Dubs Anderson, and you'll see me on the daily popping up on the SportsGrid network, on FanDuel TV. It's real simple, Chris. We're just trying to back winners and have a good time. That is the aim of the game, and if we can hit one this week, I'll be a very happy boy, and I'm going to need to shout you a couple of cold drinks, a couple of cold ales.
You know what? You may have convinced me on Patrick Cantlay, at least to be in the top five at the PGA Championship. And if you're not Mr. Dubsy, I too will be coming after you, just like you say all other people do, coming after you.
Oh, I love it. Chris, best of luck this week. Let's cash a couple of tickets.
All right, see you, man.